All right, shocking story, late night story that is going to hit to surpass that David De Gea is set to return to Man United to make what we call a shocking return that no one saw coming onto this beautiful channel of ours, that is the United Matters channel. Welcome to this channel. Smash the like button, comment and share if at all you're watching us for the very first time. Endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Guys, as I told you that lives on a daily are obviously going to come in through, but today I was really caught up and it was really hard for me to obviously come in through and really address you. But finally, I put up one recording concerning Rasmus Højlund, backing or shielding Marcus Rashford. And lastly, we are here to talk about David De Gea as we plan for our early morning video that is obviously going to come in through in on this channel. Now, we thank God for the gift of life, the Muslims, Barakallahu fikum. And how many of you saw this coming? How many of you saw this coming, that David De Gea is going to make what we call a shocking return to Manchester United? It's really one of the hardest stories that you'll ever least think about. It never even crossed my mind that United will ever really think of David De Gea returning to obviously take part into the remaining part of the season. All else, keep him here. We're obviously going to ask ourselves questions, the pros and cons of this, who is to blame, who is to thank. Have United gone ahead to realize the mistake they made? Obviously, it's really a great story coming in through. And it comes in through from Neil Curtis, a United correspondent, right? For The Sun. And he has gone ahead and obviously told us the following about the story of David De Gea returning to Man United. What did he say? He said that Man United U-turn. Man United plan astonishing bid to bring David De Gea back on free transfer 3 months after releasing Star. The club are worried they will be short of goalkeepers when Cameroon #1 Onana, David De Gea's replacement, goes to the African Cup of Nations in the year. That is what is going to hate to break tonight. Now, we all know David De Gea's replacement. We all know that the African Cup of Nations is set to be played in January. And Man United are really having a shortage of goalkeepers. And it's considered to be to it that David De Gea is obviously going to use this chance to see it that he gets back to Man United. And Man United have gone ahead to contact him to obviously come in through and really play a big part into our season at the club of Manchester United. Now, what does this mean? I think it's what we call rectifying a mistake that the club really went ahead to do. Rumors have been bubbling around Old Trafford that some people at the club of Man United, or players and the staff, are not happy with how David De Gea was obviously taken out of the club of Man United. That is it. And trust me, however much we all agreed with the coming in of Onana, and we had our reservations about it, but it doesn't make it right what Manchester United went ahead to do. If at all you never knew how this happened, allow me bring you up to speed. Now, Man United saw the contract of David De Gea running down, and they never went ahead to really trigger the 1 year that he had on his contract. That is it. So that meant that in the summer transfer window, it was going to elapse. So when the situation was like that, it obviously drove us to another level altogether of a huge question, asking ourselves, are United going to renew the contract with David De Gea? We are told by sources coming in from United that United had gone ahead to obviously agree on lots of things with David De Gea, and by the time he went for his holiday, after the finale we played with Man City in the FA Cup, everything was really done and dusted, and it was agreed upon that David De Gea was supposed to stay at the club of Manchester United and he wouldn't go anywhere. That's what the resolution was, and it was made in a very, 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 very right manner. That is it. So, shockingly, United went in for Onana, and David De Gea just found himself in a position of being ashamed. And that shame really was one of those shames that the club of United will ever not shy about, because it was really very, very bad for this man to see to it that you promised him a new contract, you sat him down, and you told him that we are obviously going to sign you. But you failed to obviously fulfill your promise, and you are playing around these cards in a very, very bad way. Now, for the club of Man United, everything has not gone on as to plan. Do you know why? The players in the dressing room, especially the senior players, are really disappointed in the club of Man United according to how they went ahead to really handle this issue. That is it. Now, because these players have gone ahead to obviously come out, and express their grievances on how this man was obviously sent out of the club, I think that's going to hate to hold the board of Man United accountable, and they're going to hate to make a decision that we should get this player back. And obviously, with the reason that this man is obviously going to be commanding Man United, especially when it comes to the games in January where Onana is not gonna be, right? And he obviously came in through and did a lot of work for the club of Man United. He has been a club legend, and never obviously went in well. So it might have been found out that this is the problem that is really affecting the dressing room of Man United. And you all saw this photo. I think most of you saw it. Not so? I think you saw this photo. It was taken before we played our game on the weekend. This is Tom Heaton. This is Rafael Varane. This is Bruno Fernandes. This is Lindelof. And this is David De Gea. Now, if you see this photo coming out when David De Gea returned to Manchester and he attended the game of the women of Man United, it shows you that there is an understanding that is in between Man United and David De Gea. And for me, I'm not shocked, to hear this story, because everything that was happening towards this photo that really showed up was really showing us that there was something good in between David De Gea and the club of Man United. And to me, it's just something great for me. I just love it. And I feel that the stars of Man United deserve a certain room of respect, because senior players like Casemiro won't be elated by the action that United went ahead to do to David De Gea. Varane won't be really okay. Bruno Fernandes won't. Tom Heaton won't. Even Marcus Rashford won't, because for Marcus Rashford, he has been babysitted by David De Gea ever since he came in through in this team. Remember, Marcus Rashford made his debut in 2016. And by the time he made his debut, David De Gea had been at the club of Man United for 5-6 years. And by that time, he was the most important player at the club of Man United. So, what message are you sending to players like Rashford, players like Garnacho, players like Kobe Menu, players like who else? Players like Rasmus Højlund, the young players coming in at Man United, players like Mason Mount, players like Luke Shaw, and very many others, especially those who are going to have to groom themselves from the academy and make their step into the first team. If at all, the seniorest player for Man United, for what he did for the club of Man United, and you give him such abysmal treatment. I think that's what United have gone ahead to agree on and said, all right, we just need to do something right. And let's give this as a reason that we are bringing him to see to it that he plays some good games in January. When you look at AFCON fixtures, the AFCON fixtures and when they're obviously going to run, the AFCON is kickstarting off on the 13th. You get kickstarting off on the 13th of January to, let us see, and it will end around the 13th, between the 13th and 15th of February. Now, if you go to the team of Cameroon and the group stage where they are, and they've been placed in. Let me see the group stage where Onana is obviously placed. Cameroon. So Cameroon is in the group that has Gambia, Guinea, and Senegal. But you don't expect Cameroon to go through this group. And for the recent past, Cameroon has always been making it to the semifinals, all the semifinals, even the finals. That is it. So United have gone ahead to get it right. You know, it shows you that some people with a brain sat and said, we are really dirtening the reputation of the club of Man United and we need this man back. So it's still in the news, but it's being broken by a United correspondent for the Sun known as Neil Curtis, meaning that he's getting this story coming in from the club. Now, they also added and said that Man United were caught off guard after Onana performed a U-turn on his international retirement. AFCON runs from January to February 11th, meaning that the £43.8 million summer signing could miss up to 8 Man United games. So the club are ready to turn to David De Gea, having booted him out in the summer. Right? So, by the time United went ahead to sign Onana, he was no longer a Cameroonian international. You all remember what happened in the World Cup. He was in goal for 2 games, and in the 3rd game, he was obviously thrown under the bus. And the reason was simple, because he wanted the coach of Cameroon song, he's called Rigobert Song, called his players and told them that all of you get a piece of paper and tell me what lineup you wanted me to obviously play with, you know, in the 3rd fixture of Cameroon. Now, what Onana did was to include players that were not even in the squad that traveled to the World Cup, you know, because for him, he really wants to be having ball-playing centre-backs alongside him. Those players were nowhere near the Cameroon national team in the World Cup, and Rigobert Song, the manager of Cameroon, saw this as a very big insult, and guess what happened? He threw him under the bus, and Onana was told to apologize, and he said, no, I cannot apologize because I have no crime on what you're telling me to really apologize on, because you told me to do something, I did it now. What's wrong with it? You know, you didn't tell us that we should only include players who are really here. So he fell out with the team and he got out of the camp from Qatar and he returned to his homeland. So after him coming to Man United, I think the people in Cameroon saw to it that it is very bad to be having your national goalkeeper at Man United and not obviously seeing him play. It might have been sort of a political move to bring him back, because Africans will obviously flock to stadiums if at all a player like Onana is obviously playing for the side of Manchester United. And you remember that right now he is the highest profile player for the Cameroon national team. That is it. It's no doubt, because you cannot talk about Mbeumo when Onana is being talked. Onana's name is obviously all over the media and all over the social media platforms, though sometimes it has been for the bad reason. But this time around, yesterday, he went ahead and saved the club of Man United by obviously saving that penalty. So for Onana, he is the biggest football export coming in from Cameroon right now. That is it. So they had to see that happen. Now, that never went well to the ears of Erik ten Hag, because when they're signing Onana, he promised them that he's not going to return to the international football. That is it. Because if at all that was the case, Erik ten Hag wouldn't have gone ahead to sanction this. But Onana was sat down by Samuel Eto'o, the president of the FA of Cameroon, and he accepted that it's worth it. So in the last games they played in the qualifiers, AFCON, he obviously went and played, but in the recently concluded international break, Onana was not part of the Cameroonian national team. Reason being, Erik ten Hag told him that those are going to be friendlies, they're not serious games. Tell the Cameroonian national team and the board that runs it that you need to concentrate so much at Man United because you're conceding stupid goals. Remember, when we returned from that international break, we played against Bayern Munich and he costed us, you know. Against Galatasaray, he costed us. Against Brentford, he costed us. So out of the 5 games that we played, 3 of those games that we lost, he was the orchestrator of the loss of Man United. That is Andrew Onana. So he stayed at Carrington and was not part of the Cameroon national team. But it looks like he is going to go and play for the Cameroon national team. So for the board of Man United, they saw this as the only chance they've gonna hate to get to see to it that they will go ahead and obviously make their past mistakes right. And how do you make your past mistakes right? By allowing David De Gea to get back. Why is he getting back? Give him a short contract of 6 months, right? After giving him a short contract of 6 months, make sure that he plays a testimonial for the club of Man United. That is it. Because there is a void for David De Gea. Let's all agree. And it goes back to Eric Ten Hag. Eric Ten Hag told us that he wants a ball-playing goalkeeper. But are we a ball-possessing team? The answer is no. So there was a contradictory into that, and that's why very many people have been realizing about the performances of Manchester United. That is it. So the urologies, this we're gonna hate to make, have been obviously gonna hate to obviously get back into the team of Man United, and obviously they had to take a step, because you tell us you want a ball-playing goalkeeper, you bring him in, and how many complete long balls has he completed? I think he's one of the worst on that. Ball playing looks like he's costing us on several games. So it doesn't add up as to why Eric Ten Hag went in for Andre Onana. And Eric Ten Hag is going to have to realize that maybe this team is not yet set to play as he wants to play. You get? Because one of the best technically gifted, press-resistant centre-backs in the world is Lisandro Martinez. And he brought in Andre Onana knowing that if I have Lisandro Martinez, I can obviously see Andre Onana give us the best that we deserve by obviously playing in between themselves as ball-playing people on the pitch, and that will help Man United. And it was really a move in the right direction by then, but it has not going to work out because Rafael Varane is press-resistant, but not as good as Lisandro Martinez, you know? So we needed him to be on the field of play, and nothing is going to happen. And for Lisandro Martinez, he might even turn out to return in February next year, because he underwent a surgery, I think last month, and he needs close to 3 or 4 months to get back to full fitness because of the metatarsal injury that went ahead to resurface, and he underwent a surgery at Man United. So Eric Ten Hag has gone ahead to know that I now need a short stopping goalkeeper. You get? I need a short stopping goalkeeper. And what's the name of that goalkeeper? Is none other than David De Gea. So there are very many reasons that I've gone ahead and obviously see to it that things go on like this at Man United, but you won't rule out that one reason that they want to see to it that they get him back, because this man was really treated unfairly, and it has been noted as one of the reasons as to why the club of Man United has found itself in a position of having some unrest in the dressing room. And if it's all about the unrest in the dressing room, I'll obviously go ahead and obviously hail the manager. That is Eric Ten Hag and the senior players of Man United, because my mind tells me David De Gea returns to Manchester, meets the players of Man United, he talks with them, and obviously, after talking with them, this story really surfaces, meaning that senior players went and talked to, I'm just thinking, the senior players of Man United might have gone and talked to Eric Ten Hag and the board of Man United that, please, Andre Onana is leaving for the African Cup of Nations. You don't trust Ben Deyil that you brought him through from Fenerbahce. You get? You don't trust him to be in between the stitches, right? And he said yes. Now, why don't we do something special for David De Gea? Get him back, to play for Man United when Andre Onana is away, such that we don't really face rough concedes in between our stitches, because when Andre Onana is away, you obviously need a player who can obviously come in through and do the job, because there are a number of games that you're going to play when this man is away. And those games include the following. There is an FA Cup tie whose draw has not been made, but soon is going to be made, and we'll be knowing who we are playing on to, I think, the 1st and 2nd of January. Then on the 13th, we are playing Tottenham Hotspur. You hear that? And you cannot allow Ben Dayer to come into this game of Tottenham Hotspur, one of the best teams in the league, when he's the goalkeeper. Remember, on 13th, that's when the African Cup of Nations is really starting, meaning that Andre Onana has to arrive in the camp of the Cameroon national team a week before, or 2 weeks before the African Cup of Nations starts, meaning that on the 1st, by the 1st, he needs to be there. You get? So David De Gea needs to be here. After that, we play away at Wolves. If you're going to hate to see how Wolves is playing, it even beat Man City at their stadium by 2-1. So there is no way you trust Ben Dayer to do these games at Man United. You don't. Ten Hag has been really vocal about Ben Dayer, and he said that he is this kind of player who obviously isn't used to the Premier League. So he doesn't want to risk him to obviously have a nightmare in his debut of Man United, meaning that Erik ten Hag is not willing to risk it all. And that's why I've gone ahead to give this story a very huge go to it. And I think most people are obviously going to love it. Ernest Kavuta, thank you for watching in through. You are telling me that, sure, this story is coming in from a United correspondent, guys. He's a United correspondent for The Sun, and his name is Neil Curtis. You can as well go and check about him. He is a close source to Man United. I was going to hate to break this story. And all you wait for is that tomorrow we want to see people like David Austin, Fabrizio Romano, Samuel Lucas, correspondent for the Manchester Evening News, Telegraph Docker, that is James Docker, correspondent of Man United for the Telegraph, and very many others on what their say is all about this story of David De Gea coming in through to do a very big part for the club of Man United after when the January transfer window really opens. But for him, he's a free agent. He does not even need a January transfer to obviously come in through. He can even start now. Then Mandela Joseph, thanks, brother, for the good presentation. Thank you for obviously watching in through. For sure, God bless you, sir, for your good analysis. Thank you for obviously watching in through, because it's you who keep us going onto this channel as you guys smash the like button. Now, I was talking about the games that we have to play after all this. Then there is West Ham, right? There is Aston Villa, and that will be the last game, because our next game is going to be playing Luton Town around the 17th of February. But there are other games here. If we go through the round of, or the sixth, what round of the FA Cup? We have to play another game around, I think, mid-January. That is it. Then, if at all we proceed in the Carabao Cup, there are some games we'll be playing. So, he's going to miss out on 8 games of Man United. And obviously, that's why the club is seeing to it that it's very important to keep him here. For Erik ten Hag, I obviously look at it and I understand that he is set to see to it that he understands his mistake. And if at all, the success of every person who has been successful in this world, it has relied so much onto one realizing his mistake. That is it. If you realize your mistake, then you are really good to go. And that's what Erik ten Hag is going to hate to do. To see to it, is going to hate to realize his mistake. And he's here to see to it that he takes us to where we deserve to be as a club of Man United. I have no problem with that. For me, if David De Gea is returning, let him return. Why? Last season was built onto what we call a watertight defense. And that watertight defense was made up by 5 people. And being pivotal of it all, it was David De Gea. David De Gea, because of his experience and respect that all these players really had for him, they always had to really bear with what he's telling them. I don't believe that Andre Onana commands the same respect into that goal when he commands Varane, when he commands Harry Maguire, Lindelof, all Evans, because they look at him as a newcomer in the club, and players have that they have that complacency over people that you cannot obviously come here and really tell me how much you had in goal. So if David De Gea is back in the dressing room, it's obviously going to improve the atmosphere of the club of Man United, especially for the senior players like Casemiro, Varane, Bruno Fernandes, and so much more. Because however much people are saying we cannot sign David De Gea back, but can I tell you, the time has come, and Ten Hag is going to realize that what would be his realistic style of play this season is not going to be possible, because every time he does the tiki-taka and tries to possess the ball around, it's not working out. That's why you saw to it that in the second half against Copenhagen, we almost hit them on the break close to 6 times, and we got very many clear-cut chances through that play. So if we are to be a good counter-attacking team, all what we need is simple. Keep it tight at the back, allow or invite pressure to come to your side. After inviting pressure, just do the needful. Press them up, get that ball, and pass that ball into the tunnels. That will see the likes of Garnacho, Anthony, Rashford, Rasmus Højlund, obviously getting us to where we deserve to be by scoring goals for the club of Man United. He might have gone ahead to think about it that way, because you cannot initiate a new style of play when the season has gone ahead to start. You can only initiate the style of play when you're in the preseason. That is it. And the only way out for Erik Ten Hag is to go back to playing on how we played last season, because these players exactly knew how we played last season. Even if you play a high line, but don't commit a lot in the half of the opponent. Press them down. After pressing them down, get that ball and hit them on the break. That is it. So I think that's what Erik Ten Hag is going to go on, because you saw to it that when we play like that and we are clinical, we win games. But every time we try to open up, we obviously lose games. And Ten Hag is going to have to go to know it that experience is now needed. I need David De Gea, obviously, in the game like of Bayern Munich, because for David De Gea, it's not all about signing him in January. A team can sign any player who is a free agent at any time. David De Gea is a free agent, and we won't even wait until January for him to come in through. We can obviously even sign him today, and he plays for Man United over the weekend when you're playing against Manchester City. It's possible. So let's wait and see whether other outlets will come in and obviously give us a story about David De Gea, and if at all it's really sanctioned by those sources, then it's obviously going to be legit. But for now, it's only coming in from one source, that is none other than The Sun, and it's Neil Curtis obviously flaunting this story to see to it that he obviously gives us the best that we deserve as a team of Manchester United. So I've seen your comments. Some of you are saying no, he's not going to return, but I want to let you know that here at the club, here at the channel of United Matters channel, what we do is simple. We bring the news, right? We bring you the news. And when we bring you the news, we give our reaction onto it, and then we leave it there for you to obviously have your say again. So what's your say about this? And I'm going to go into your comments and obviously see what you think. Now, there is one thing that most of you had forgotten, that even David De Gea rejected to obviously go to Saudi Arabia. Yet money was there for him to go on and play that side. Now, why did he reject to go to Saudi Arabia? If at all you are good at adding dots, you really see to it that this story is really right. Let me add you the dots. David De Gea had offers from Saudi Arabia, USA, and he said no. He promised that if he doesn't get a top club, he's going to quit football. Then after that, David De Gea returns to Manchester like 5 weeks back. When he returned, he arrived over the weekend, and I think in the midweek, the female club team of Man United was playing in the Champions League. And guess what? David De Gea was at Old Trafford. You get? After coming at Old Trafford and really having a go and really welcomed, sorry, not at Old Trafford, it's not Old Trafford. There is a stadium where the female team of Man United plays their games from, and he was given a very huge welcome, and he was given an executive seat, meaning that the club recognizes his return and they really love him a lot. Now, after all that, we see this photo. Look at it. This is Tom Heaton. This is Rafael Varane. This is Bruno Fernandes. This is David De Gea, and this is Lindelof. And this was taken before we played Sheffield over the weekend. Now, if you add all this and you resonate them, or you equate them to the story I'm going to hate to get tonight, what comes into your mind? For me, I really perceive it like there is something boiling in between Man United and David De Gea, and his shocking return might obviously be made. Smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and join our WhatsApp group. That is it. Kato Hussein, I don't think he'll do well under Eric Ten Hag, but it's good. I've given you the reason as to why I believe it's going to be like that. I think I'm going to hate to give you the reasons as to why I think they're going to hate to obviously bring him in. One, obviously, backup for the time Andre Onana is going to be away. Secondly, they want to give him a good send-off as a player of Man United, like a testimonial match, because he's a legend of this club. He has been a player of the year for several times, and you cannot treat him that way. Thirdly, to create competition between David De Gea and Andre Onana. And fourthly, even Andre Onana getting notes from David De Gea with the experience we're going to have to get in goal, that you should be doing this in the Premier League. You shouldn't be doing this. You should be continuing doing this amidst you being a very good ball-playing goalkeeper, but I'm one of the best shot-stopping goalkeepers in the world, and I've been doing it at the top level in the Premier League for close to a decade plus at the club of Man United. So I think there are very many reasons as to why David De Gea should return to the club of Man United, and I think you also have yours that you can as well share with me into the comment section below. Then Nas, you're telling me, hello, David. Hello, Nas, how are you? And where are you watching in from? Thank you for obviously lighting up that group. Then Kato Hussein, I don't think we'll do well under Ten Hag, but it's good. All right. Then King Joe, we need De Gea so bad. We need him so much. So I think this story will get more stories added to it by the time it's morning. And you're going to see to it that it's obviously going to be so much of David De Gea in the next coming days. So guys, thank you very much for watching it through. Rokan David is my name. It was a breaking story that I couldn't sleep without bringing to you onto this channel. And thank you, Ernest Kavuta, for watching it through, Mandela Joseph, Kato Hussein, Nas, and King Joe, for obviously embracing this late night story here onto the United Matters channel. Hope you guys are really fine, and we thank God for the gift of life. May the living to God bless you abundantly. Your reactions to David De Gea's shocking return at Man United are welcome in the comment section below. May the living to God bless you abundantly. Rokan David remains my name. The Muslims, Barakallahu Fikum. I'm out.